So welcome, happy Earth Day. Today, we are going to talk about receptivity and resonance and what that really is and what that really means. The other day, I was like, it was in the middle of the night, to be honest with you, the time I usually have most of my breakthroughs. And I started having this like breakthrough and this understanding about alignment and resonance and like what it really means. And I've been teaching it for so long. And like now all of a sudden I like see it and feel it in a different way, not the energy coming off my fingers from the sun right now. And I just like started having these like major aha moments. And I was like talking a mile a minute and I was typing like crazy into my notepad. And I was like, as soon as I was done, I was like, I have to give a talk on this because I need to like share this with the program. So like, this is at like 3 a.m. I was like getting all these downloads and like writing this stuff down and being like, this is breakthrough information. And it's really actually similar information that I've already relayed, but it was just coming through in such a different way to me that I was like, yes, lights on. So I just wanted to like really communicate it to you and explain what it really means to resonate with something, because we use that word a lot, especially as we become more spiritual and we start to understand our vibrational relationship to a vibrational universe and what that really means. We say, I resonate with that, or I don't resonate with that, coming to indicate that we're either in alignment with something and we're able to receive it or we're not. So like, what does that really mean to resonate with something, right? So we've talked before, and I've given a whole talk for you on the law of attraction, and the actual 3 laws of attraction that make up the law of attraction, which is like attracts like, the present is always perfect, and nature abhors a vacuum. And related to the law of attraction is actually the law of resonance. And the law of resonance basically states that you're going to attract in your life and in your environment things that are on a similar vibrational frequency to the one that you are operating on, which is very much like attracts like, right? It's a very similar thing. So resonance is one of the core principles of spirituality, but it's also a physical understanding, right? If you were to study physics or you were to study sound, resonance is the concept of things harmonizing or amplifying each other that are synchronistic, right? So if it's in music, essentially you'll have a sound and then there'll be a synchronistic sound and they'll harmonize with each other if they are similar enough, right? So synchronicity basically means something that is at the same time as. So when we understand vibration as a speed of vibration, then we understand that if something is vibrating slowly and something is vibrating quickly, then those things will likely not come into points of resonance with each other, and they won't create that effect that resonance creates, which is the effect of amplification, right? When 2 notes that are synchronistic come into contact with each other, even if they're not exactly the same, they're just similar enough in vibrational pattern to synchronize, then the resonance that they create will cause both sounds to both become louder, larger, and longer. So it will literally amplify the experience of that vibration. Right. So that's why we are constantly seeking things and people and circumstances that resonate with us, because they amplify the vibration that we are operating on, which is why most people understand the pursuit of a partner is the pursuit of a resonant energy that will help you to attract faster, better, stronger Kanye West. Right. So we really want to make sure that we understand what this really means, right? How do we really do this? And how are we seeing it at work in the universe, both working for people and working against them? And I think as I go through this, you're going to notice there's a lot of ways that we're seeing this at work before we even knew what we were looking at, right? So something that happens a lot is I coach people, and oddly enough, your girl becomes like a relationship guru because, relationships are kind of the core of how we're being mirrored back to ourselves. What am I, and where is my frequency, right? We can understand who we are as a vibrational being based on what are we pulling forward, right? So I end up kind of involved in people's relationships a lot, even though I'm not like always in the most successful relationships myself. But it's like I understand the concepts required. Whether or not I've always employed them perfectly is a whole nother story. But in the process of listening to people speak about their relationships and kind of coaching them through it, what I've come to understand is people have this belief that if someone has different habits, different desires than them, that ultimately it causes detachment, right? I'll have a girl that's like, my boyfriend just wants to play video games and this fucks us up. He wants to sit and play video games all day and I like to run in the park. And when we come back together, we're kind of like, we have nothing in common. You're annoying me with your habits. I annoy him with my habits. And ultimately it causes this issue. And it sounds simple enough. And it does seem to make sense, right? When people find a match that isn't close enough, whether it's in belief or habit or energy, then they eventually separate, can't find middle ground. And whether or not they separate physically becomes their own decision. Sometimes they end up staying together in a marriage that just stays disconnected, right? You can keep the physical cords bound, but you're never really in resonance with each other, right? Actually, then you start going like this with that person, right? And so I started thinking about like, why is that? Why is it an issue if this person wants to sit and play video games all day and you want to go out and run? And it is an issue because at the core of it, both of those activities carry very different vibrational frequencies, right? If you are outside in nature, in sunshine, moving your body, releasing endorphins, and you have a partner that is married to an interior space where there is interior light and there is a screen that is not natural, reflecting things and experiences that are not natural onto your partner, you're going to come out of alignment because you have chosen to vibrate with the frequency of the natural world, and they have chosen to vibrate with the frequency of a synthetic world. And while those things are not bad or good, they are not the same. They are not synchronistic, and they're always going to cause you to come out of resonance with your partner, right? And that's why you see people say like, oh, couples that work out together stay together, couples that play together stay together. Sure. Right? Yeah, of course. It makes a lot of sense that they do. It's also why long distance relationships are very difficult, especially if you have a relationship with someone who's in a different climate or who has very different habits. If you think about the fact that every food that you eat, everything that you listen to, every choice you make throughout the day is changing your vibration so that you can interact with whatever environment you're choosing to react with. And if your partner is making choices that are opposite, then you are going to come out of alignment with that partner, right? It's also why it's hard for people to like a vegan to date a meat eater, right? It's so much bigger than the action itself. It's the fact that vegan food and meat carry different vibrational realities. And some of it, I believe, can be mitigated, mostly by the feeling, right? If both people are brought to the same vibrational alignment of joy, then it is possible to override the things that got us there because we will eventually meet on that plane, right? But it rarely is that way. Right? It rarely is that way, that people are doing things that just genuinely bring them to a joyful state. It ends up being that people are driven away by each other's addictions and habits, whether that's to specific types of living or food or mindsets, more than they're driven away by something that truly brings each other's joy and peace, which is why we can often see multicultural or interreligious relationships really working, so long as your religion is truly that vehicle to love and acceptance and faith. Then it doesn't really matter which religion you practice because they're both going to bring you to that same state, and you're going to meet your partner on that state, whether they worship Jesus or the Buddha or Allah. It doesn't really matter because the end game is the same, right? But for most people, their daily habits are not bringing them to the same relational state as their partner, and they are feeling that lack of synchronicity and that lack of resonance, and it's that's killing them. Right? It's the fact that we're not making an effort to get into alignment enough. And we pretty much have to be doing that every day. When we talk about commitment, people are not realizing what it means. I have not realized what it means. Commitment is not the act of remaining with someone tethered to someone, regardless of alignment or resonance. Commitment is the commitment to maintain vibrational alignment and resonance with your partner. So even if you have high vibrational habits, if they're causing you to vibrate out of alignment with your partner, that needs to be discussed. And that ultimately needs to be rectified. Otherwise, we're going to knock each other out of alignment and we're going to live in detachment. And that's ultimately going to lead down a path that does not lead to a partnership. right? But I never realized that. I never saw it that way. I always kind of thought, oh, we're just two individual people and we just kind of do our own thing and then we come back together and it's like whatever it is. And I think we kind of thought that because, like I said, when you're with that person, the vibration of love between you can be big enough to anchor you back to that vibrational state. And you'll find some places to interact. But what most people find is that works at first. But over time, that experience changes because the immediate chemical reaction you have with that person changes over time, right? The immediate attraction or the immediate whatever it is that is drawing you in changes over time. And when it does start to lose luster around 6 months, a year, 2 years is like the death sentence time, right? If you're not continually maintaining vibrational alignment with this person, then you're going to lose that ability to see each other and fall right back into that state because we've been spending dominant amounts of time feeding different vibrational realities. And that's just the way the vibrational universe works, right? We can't attract that which we aren't. We can only attract that which we are. And so if we are this vibration, this specific vibration, and they are this specific vibration, we can't attract each other. We can't come into alignment like this. And it's causing so much chaos, right? So when I was thinking about it, I was thinking about how people say like, oh, someone is the life of the party, right? You go to a party, somebody's there, and that person is like beaming and they're doing all this stuff. They make the night. And you're just like, that person was the life of the party. I went to that location and I had so much fun and I was free and I was all these things. The life of the party is essentially the vibrational anchor of joy in a space. They have decided I'm vibrating here and you motherfuckers are going to vibrate right here with me, right? They anchored you to a vibrational frequency of fun and joy. When they left, you forgot to tether yourself to that frequency and therefore you were lost. You went home and were like, now I'm bored and I'm not having fun. And so you decide, well, it's that person that makes everything fun. No, it's that person showing you a vibrational reality that you can tether yourself to and anchor yourself in. And if you do that, then you will be the life of the party and the life of the party, and the party will continue and the party doesn't have to end when you leave, right? When you're shown access to a vibration, this is what I do as a healer, right? I give you access to a healing vibration when I am healing. Then it's your decision to tether into that frequency and take it with you. If you don't, then you keep having to come back to me in order to get access to that frequency. If you decide, I like this frequency, I'm going to tether into it and keep it and start to vibrate with it and foster it and take care of it, then you don't need me. Because you're your own, you'll just take that frequency and be that frequency for yourself, right? Or be a similar frequency. Maybe we're never exactly the same frequency and we don't have to be. And that's why it'll always be fun to interact with people, even if we get on some type of vibrational alignment with them. We still have a lot to pass back and forth. But still, it'll be similar enough that it won't be out of need that you go get these things or find these people. It'll be out of desire because you'll be like, I already feel all this stuff and I already do all this stuff. But now it's cool to see your specific spin on that vibration and how we can resonate with each other, right? A healing, when I give a healing to somebody who's already vibrating on a specific frequency that's similar to mine, the resonance and the size of the healing is always much bigger than somebody who's resonating on a frequency that's much different. I have to do several healings on people like that, trying over time to bring them close enough to me that I can really hit them with enough energy that it starts to like, ooh, okay, now it's buzzing in the energy, right? But essentially, as a channel and as a healer, that's all I'm doing. I'm making a decision about a frequency or a vibration, and then I'm anchoring it and I'm tethering myself to it. And then you can make a choice of being in my space and feeling that frequency and then leaving, or you can make a choice to come into that frequency and anchor to it. If you do that, then you are going to remain my friend, my partner, my student, right? Because we are going to be in vibrational alignment with each other. And once you are my friend or my student or my partner or whatever it is, I'm then going to say, now let's work like this. I'm going to give you this, you're going to give me that, and we're going to stay in alignment with each other, right? And that's what's going to help us to get this kind of an experience, right? You can see when things come together, they're not exactly the same. They're just in alignment, right? They're actually going different directions. Like, this is enough. This center point here that everything meets on is the axis of alignment. So it doesn't have to be exactly the same. It doesn't even need to be going in the same direction. It just needs to have enough resonance and synchronicity in the center to hold it together, right? So that's how we can have different habits and different things from people, but understanding that the habit has to be something that brings about a similar vibration. So it's impossible to have a partner that hates their job when you love what you do, because they're going to spend 8 hours a day hating their job, being in misery. And guess what misery loves? Misery loves company. And there's a reason that we say that, right? Because deep down, we have a consciousness that if my partner or my friend is vibrating on a frequency that is misery, or vibrating on a frequency that is brokenness or poverty, if I don't vibrate on a similar frequency, I'm going to lose this person, whether it's temporarily or not. So a lot of the time, people are sacrificing their own vibrational experience because they don't want to lose what they have access to, because they have this consciousness, this person may not shift. And if they don't shift, they must be lost, right? And remember, I always speak about the universe moving like a revolving door. So the revolution of the door, we don't know how long that takes, you know, and you can also come out on one side or the other, right? That's how a revolving door works. So it's possible that things will be lost temporarily while they do a loop. And while they're doing that loop, they'll spiral upward and they'll come to meet you. That could take 3 days, it could take 6 months, it could take 3 years. Like, it's impossible to know. So you're always taking a risk when you choose to vibrate out of alignment with something, whether that something just no longer resonates with you, no longer is in alignment with you, or is now completely prohibiting you from moving forward to a vibration that you actually want to become. You know, you have to make the choice to basically vibrate out of alignment with it, and know that in some ways you could be breaking a commitment to a friend or to a lover, saying, look, I'm about to make a decision that's going to make me a different vibration than you. And if you can't make the decision to try to meet me at that spot, then I'm going to have to make the decision to separate, you know? And ultimately, that's the conversation we've always been having with people, but we didn't know we were doing that. We didn't know that we were saying your misery or your poverty mindset or whatever it is causing your vibration to be quite slow and low and dense and three-dimensional. And I just can't really commit to that vibration anymore because it doesn't feel in alignment with me. And it's not bringing towards me things that I'm seeking. And I've done as much as I could, but I can't maintain it any longer. So I need to move forward, right? So at that point, we can either find things together that will help us to come out of this experience, or I got to leave you where you're at and I've got to move forward, right? And we really only ever have those two choices. And so I think the partners and the friends that we pick are quite important, because we will start to find ourselves tethered to their vibrational reality, which is why people say you can tell a lot about a person from the friends that they have, right? It's very rare to find wealthy people with broke friends. It's very rare to find, you know, people that are really solid and everything with people around them that are not, right? Unless, again, that person is in a leadership position. Maybe they're teaching or they're instructing or whatever it is. That's a different situation, because opposites also balance each other and teach each other a lot in this universe. However, when opposites bond, to me, it's a much more like volatile relationship, right? It's a much more extreme relationship. We see a lot of, okay, I'll come meet you on your resonance, and now you've got to come meet me, and we're going to bounce back and forth between, you know, whatever this low vibrational resonance is, whether it's smoking weed or it's using alcohol or it's using drugs. And then we're going to switch to my high vibrational resonance, which is like something else entirely. And then we're going to move back and forth, and it's going to cause life to just go like this around in a circle till everyone's frustrated. And, you know, because to me, the presence of a positive and a negative leads to neutralization. It's not bad or good, but it's a nothing. You know what I mean? And over time, we're kind of like, I've been spinning the fucking ball and I'm still in the same spot. And that's the thing that causes us to realize, maybe I'm going to start offering a different vibration, you know? It's not a chat if Charlie doesn't lose her shit, right? Come here, boo. Come here. Come say hi. Who's cool? Let's not touch the door. Let's never touch the door again. Come here. Come. Come here. Stop it. What are you gonna do? Stop by. Come here. I know that's the door with the seesaw. Do you say hi to everybody? Little Bradley bear. Oh, tell him. Charlie, give a speech. Tell him about resonance. Come here. What else? What else? What else? Hi. Hi, family. Oh, be quiet. Anyway, so yeah, so I just think this is like something that like hit me like a ton of bricks, and I was kind of realizing, so what do you do? Because it's very hard to match a frequency that you've never been exposed to. That's kind of why people who are born into poverty, or they're born into difficult situations, or they're born into abusive situations, it's really quite difficult for them to ever really find a different frequency than that. And it's often because they just haven't had exposure to that frequency, or they had limited exposure to that frequency. And since it wasn't the dominant frequency, they didn't realize that they could tether to a frequency regardless of how quickly it passes, right? So people forget to tether to the frequency. So for example, you could have a really dark home life, but you could have a grandmother's house that is a safe haven for you. But instead of realizing I can kind of tether to the frequency of the safety at my grandma's house, or the love at my grandma's house, and keep it with me and become the home of that frequency, we decide, oh, I'll always have to be in that space to access that frequency. So it is true that a location and a human can make you, give you access and exposure to a specific frequency, right? That's why people say, I go to the beach and I feel a certain way. Yeah, the beach has a frequency. The beach is made of sand, which is crystal, right? Crystals have a frequency. It's water, which has a frequency, right? So it's sound, which has a frequency. So of course the beach has a vibrational reality with it. You can choose to visit the beach and visit that frequency and then leave it, or you can choose to visit the beach and then attach yourself to that frequency, anchor yourself to that frequency. And from there, as a vibrational match to the beach, if the beach makes you feel ease and peace, then you're going to attract ease and peace even when you're not at the beach, because you become a vibrational match for those feelings that the beach is giving you access to. So in this case, the steps for really becoming a vibrational point of resonance are first to have exposure to a frequency, then to anchor yourself, attach yourself to that frequency, right? Then you become that point of attraction. So you attract. And the fourth step being maintenance, deciding how do I remain in alignment and resonance with these things, right? And the good thing is, it doesn't mean being exactly the same. It just means being similar enough, which means your habits can change. Everything about what you're doing, and specifically how you're doing it in the physical, can shift. You can move to another location, you can live in another country, doesn't matter, so long as the output is similar enough to maintain what you already have. Or even better, to become someone that masters detachment and allows yourself to consistently vibrate regardless of what you have. Because you know, I'm always going to be attracting something. And if I'm always in states of growth, then I'll likely always be attracting what is next for me. And what is next for me should always be what's best for me if the movement is conscious and intentional, right? That's why I got this tattoo early on. It says semper ad meliora, which means like always towards better things. You're always moving towards the next thing that is better for you than what you currently have, right? And people sometimes think, oh, doesn't that mean you're just always kind of cycling through things and people? And it's like, no, not really, because a lot of the times as you're moving forward towards those better things, the people that chose to anchor with you become those better things, right? But I also can't be committed to not moving forward because you committed to a vibrational reality of not moving forward. If I am that, if I am the vibration of forward movement, and you come into contact with me and choose not to tether to that movement, then you will lose access to me because you made a choice to see me for who I am and not tether yourself to that same understanding. How you become a forward moving being can look very different. You can be making all different kinds of decisions and all different kinds of changes, but you must be moving forward, right? It's like what I said earlier. If we are in the elevator, right? If we're in that big building of ascension, as long as we're all in the elevator, we're going to meet up. We're all going up. It doesn't matter what floor you came from or how you got to that floor or what helped you press that button, but we're all in the elevator. We're all on the same path of ascension. So we're all going to meet and have points of alignment with each other, right? Some of us will have a tightly tethered journey, maybe for a lifetime, and some of us will drift in and out. But as long as we're all going up, then we'll see each other again, right? And you'll come to find that the people that are tethered to you by blood, people say blood is thicker than water. And what they mean by that is your vibrational point of attachment to people that you were born to is higher than your vibrational point of attraction to people that you are not born to, right? And that you'll see it. You'll see, man, I started making some decisions about taking care of myself or helping myself or doing a certain thing. And then my family started doing the same thing. Maybe it takes some time, but they'll start doing the same thing. And that's because ultimately that tether, that blood tether will make them realize, okay, she's in the elevator. And if we don't get in, we gonna lose her, right? And sometimes they don't. And sometimes it doesn't happen that way. But by and large, it does. Even if it takes a lot of time, you know, even if they're very resistant, you know, often people are offering a lot of resistance. They're really afraid of where things are headed. And commitment to change and growth means commitment to the unknown, to never really knowing what's coming next, what it will demand of you, what it will show you, and what it will cost you, right? We don't know that before we start, but we will run the risk of losing 100% of the things that we don't choose to resonate with. Right? If you are not choosing to anchor and to resonate, then you are being dragged by somebody else's alignment and resonance, right? So like I said, if you're lucky and you come into contact with a high vibrational being, then you'll be dragged to a high vibration. If you are unlucky, you will be dragged by a lower vibrational being, right? And most of the time, luck is a game of 50-50. Universe will show you both things and ask you to choose. Refusing to choose is the choice that keeps you in the 50-50, that neutralizes everything and keeps you at the same level forever, right? This to me is what we talk about when we talk about hell. A life that is neutral is a life that is not lived. It is just circular and it goes nowhere and everything feels the same over and over again. And all the joy and depth of life that is there for you, that is a blessing, is missed. Right? So really coming to understand that universe will show you both things. They'll give you half the people or half the experiences in your life that feel so good, that love you, that give you the access and say, yo, sorry, Henry's calling me, that give you access and say, yo, like, this is the high vibrational possibility for your life. Like, this is what shit could look like if you want it to. And then they'll show you the opposite side and they'll say, here's trash, here's garbage, here's a horrible feeling vibration that doesn't resonate and doesn't feel good and is low vibrational. You can pick this one if you want to, but until you pick one, you're going to be dragged by both. And then you're going to spend your life thinking that you're just some victim to the plan. But ultimately, it's only because you're not making a choice. You're not deciding, no, the high vibrational one feels better. I like the fast moving vibration. I want to sit in that. So I'm going to tether to it. You know, I'm going to anchor to it and I'm going to commit to it. Right. And also, you know, it's as I've moved forward down this path, I've realized actually the experience of realizing that you're coming out of alignment with someone or something is instantaneous. Someone makes one decision, one thought that is out of alignment, and you'll feel the detachment in your body immediately, right? The reason that this doesn't happen for a lot of people is because they're afraid of the depth of connection. So they don't show themselves openly to a person or place or thing and truly openly connect to it. Once you do this, you will feel micro shifts in energy in ways that you never thought that you could, right? And I started to understand that the first sign that someone has chosen to vibrate out of alignment with you is miscommunication. Think about it. Miscommunication, missed communication, right? Why did it miss? It missed because you're talking at this tone and I'm talking at this tone and I can't hear you. We're missing communication because we are not vibrationally resonant with the sound of each other's communication, right? This is the first sign that we are losing each other. We are losing each other's vibrational alignment. We are no longer a vibrational match. Most people say, oh, it was just a miscommunication. No, the fuck it was not. The miscommunication was a warning that if you don't start looking at your thoughts and habits and where this is really going, this one miscommunication is going to become a misconnection. And that misconnection is going to cause a drop that you did not anticipate, but you should have, because you had all the warning signs, right? So it doesn't even start to feel bad. It doesn't feel horrible. It just feels off. and it feels disconnected. And the first sign of disconnection is we start caring more about ourselves than we care about the other person, right? So you'll find when people miscommunicate, they spend a lot more time trying to explain what they were saying and why they were saying it than trying to understand what the other person heard and why they heard it. Right. This is the first sign that the ego has become involved, because I don't really care that you didn't hear me because I wonder what you heard. I care that you didn't hear me because I'm frustrated that you're not on my vibrational frequency. That becomes an act of ego. And that is why miscommunication leads to misconnection. Because once the ego gets involved and you're out of soul alignment, finito, right? That's why relationships that have these experiences suffer and die, right? And I started having these thoughts and I was like, how did I never see that before? How did we ever have a miscommunication with someone and just write it off as like, oh, it was just a miscommunication, and not talk about, yo, what put us in the headspace that you said one thing and I heard another, or that I said something and you didn't hear what I said? How did we become so out of sync? You know, like, what vibrational frequency are you on? What one am I on? And how did that happen? And how might we avoid it? How can we get to a similar frequency before we try to talk about the miscommunication, right? Most people are not doing that. You know, that's why I think some people find therapy works. It works because once you get into the therapist's office, you anchor to her frequency, and her frequency holds you together. Then when y'all go home and you're not in that frequency anymore, you'll fight like cats and dogs to go work it out at the therapist's office, because her office and her presence is the vibrational frequency that's allowing you to communicate. Once you're out of that frequency, you're here, he's here. We can fight to the depth and we're never going to hear what the other one has to say. So you have to make a decision to figure out what frequency are we on when we're in that office that is allowing this collaboration and this meeting, and what frequency is in this household that's not allowing that, or that's in our daily lives that's not allowing that. Where is the misalignment? And I don't know, just having this come to me this way blew my mind. I've just never heard anybody say anything like this and explain it like this. And it just, to me, in every situation that came up, made fucking perfect sense. And I've seen it in every one of my own relationships. And I've seen it in every one of my, you know, in just every one of my relationships, like in every single experience I've ever had. Like, as I start to tether to a frequency and I really marry it, anyone that's not on that frequency is automatically removed from my circle. Automatically. They're gone. Like, we stay friends, we can stay in some sort of alignment, but the immediate vibrational alignment, can't do it. Every relationship I've ever had has been because I made a choice to go in one vibrational direction and my partner made a decision to go in another one. I was like, I cannot change my vibrational anchor. This is the one I'm choosing. And they could not meet me there, or did not want to meet me there, or whatever it was. And it immediately caused a separation. And it was a lot of, you need to meet me where I'm at. You need to meet me where I'm at. And while that's not wrong, sometimes we do need to meet people where they're at. Sometimes there is a coming together on a different vibrational frequency that's neutral in order to have a breakthrough. But to me, that's the thing. There should be a breakthrough point where now we can proceed together towards whatever vibrational frequency we're going to. If that doesn't happen, then someone is always compromising their vibrational alignment. Not someone, both parties are always compromising their vibrational alignment to meet the other person. And no one's really happy, because I'm feeling like you're dragging me this way. You're feeling like I'm dragging you this way. And we're in some middle space, again, that's neutral, that no one really wants to be in, rather than coming to that space for a purpose and then moving together, right? Even if that movement together is downshifting for a little while into density, maybe it's grief, right? You can make whatever decisions you want, but ultimately, if you don't make them together, then there will be loss. And there is loss across the board, I think, because of these things. It's why you can't really have a relationship with a partner that has an addiction. It's nearly impossible. You are a caretaker to a partner that has an addiction, but you can't have a connection with a partner that has an addiction, because drugs, alcohol, I mean, the things that carry the most charge, things that really shift your vibration quickly in the physical, I think, are food, electronics, drugs, alcohol, your mindset, like the thoughts that you habitually think and your thought patterns, fitness and how much you move your body. Music is a big shifter, nature or the lack of nature, and sex. These are like the quickest shifters of like your body, right? I also started thinking about that. Like, why is it such a problem when somebody has an affair? It's such a problem bigger than the act of the sexual experience that they have with another, that sexual experience automatically tethers their vibration to another being. So you're going to come back here and you're not going to match me anymore. You literally made a decision to vibrate with someone else and to vibrate on another frequency, or to find another level with that person altogether, but obviously to vibrate out of alignment with me. So we're kind of screwed now, you know, like over time, can we get back on the same vibration? Potentially. I don't really know how all that works. But I think ultimately that's the big betrayal. Like that's the big problem why people say, I just knew. You knew because you felt right away that something changed this person to a frequency that you had never seen before, right? That's the one thing about like any kind of sexual or intimate encounter with another person will create a unique vibrational pattern that only those two people can ever access together. That's a problem because if that person or either of them is ever in that frequency, everyone else can't get there. You know what I'm saying? And so if that other person is your wife, then you made a decision to essentially lock her out. And that's that, you know? So I had this breakthrough and I was like, I've never even thought about it that deep. I didn't go the layer down. I was just like, yeah, people, you know, if that person has that habit or that person lives that way, that's going to be really hard to find like middle ground. And I never really went down to the understanding of it as an energetic experience, which is crazy because I teach fucking energetic law. And it just started coming through to me and I could feel it like so viscerally, and understanding of like, you know, why. For example, I've always been so fearful of vibrating at a frequency of like massive wealth. This is one that really scares me. And it's because my family is not wealthy. They never have been. And that shows me that they don't understand the frequency of wealth. And my fear in the ego, the fear the ego is speaking to me is vibrating at this frequency going to cost you people that cannot vibrate at this frequency? And sometimes it has and it does. You know, once I start to vibrate at the frequency of massive wealth, I start to lose a lot of people. And I always have. Actually, right after I won the Amazing Race is when me and Matt broke up. I had $1 million in my hand and my relationship went south immediately, right? I also lost all my friends and my job and my whole life the way that it was before, the second I accessed a sum of wealth that I had never accessed before. And it wasn't bad, clearly. It was a good change, but it was a change that I hadn't anticipated because I did not understand the vibrational reality of wealth. And I think until I had this breakthrough the other night, I didn't realize what my holdup was. Like, I feel the drive towards it. I know that it's for me. I know it's for a positive reason. I know it's not my ego, but I still can't drive towards it. And I still end up with a lot of people around me that are in a loop of not having wealth, and they're struggling and suffering in that loop. And I think a big part of the reason I'm meant to have massive wealth is so that I can teach it and so that I can help those people spiral out of that loop. But it's going to cost us to go through the revolving door. And for a while, we're going to lose each other. And I don't know how long that while is. And that has put fear in me. And that's part of what I was telling you about this eclipse season, that we won't be able to keep that shit up. We have to let it go. We have to let go of whatever it is, however much we love it. If it's not bringing us what we're asking for, in my case, I'm asking for a sum of wealth that is very large. And I have been for a long time. And I'm going to have to do things I haven't done with people that I haven't accessed in order to acquire it. And I have to be ready for that. But I can only be ready for that if I lean back into the receptive mode, which looks like this: hands open, space created. If everything is already full in my vibration or in my grip, then I can't have access to something that I don't have already because I'm full. And the fullness is my vibrational frequency resonating with a lot of people who are out of alignment with the resonance of wealth. Like, you can see it clearly. You can see the catch clearly, you know? And it's not that the people around you have to have great wealth, but they must be resonating with the frequency of changing their financial state in an upward motion. Most people are not. They're at the frequency of it is what it is, or they're at the frequency of I'll slowly get out of this hole, or whatever frequency they're at. Those aren't bad frequencies, right? Some people just want to get by or survive or have this amount of money. Fine. All good. But if it's not what I'm trying to do, then we are going to need to lose alignment, right? that might serve you in the future. It might bring us back around. It might not, but it doesn't matter because I'm called to do it. And therefore I must do it and let go of anyone and anything that doesn't align, doesn't vibrate. So Mariana just asked, what if you're on the other end and are being the one who has to let go of negative habits and thought patterns? What do you mean? What if that's you? Like, what if you're one of the broke?
I guess like, and no, not specifically wealth, but just like in life in general. Like, let's say like you take a step back and you notice like, oh, because obviously like as we move through like spiritual journeys, like it's very easy to like get caught up in your ego and think, oh, well, like I'm the one that's right on these things. And when you take a step back and realize, okay, maybe there was some truth on like the other end, and you start to realize like, okay, maybe I'm the one that's still carrying like negativity or ego and stuff, and like almost like the opposite of what you're saying, like because you're talking in an instance where people have to meet you where you're at. But what if you're like, okay, maybe I'm the one that's on like the lower vibration or something?
Well, it's the same, it's all the same concept, right? It doesn't really matter what vibrational frequency I'm on, right? In order for me to meet someone in a low vibration and see their ego, it's showing me where my ego is, right? Ego exists on every vibrational scale. It's just different. To me, on the higher vibrational levels, the ego is just trickier. She's better at her job at the higher levels. She's like, I got to be a mystic in this bitch and confuse you and do magic tricks and make you think it was this, but then it wasn't. It was your ego, bitch. Like, here we are. Haha, surprise. You know, it's like a whole different experience. Whereas in a lower vibrational states, the ego can be more right in your face because you don't even notice her. So you're not challenging her. So she's like, oh, this is easy. This is like a puppet show, like for kids, finger puppets. So you know, it's all the same thing. It's all the same work. It's just different scopes of the work. So if I was to catch myself in a low vibrational state, whether that was frustration or anger, which I catch myself in often, then I just decide, do I want to resonate at this frequency, right? First, I'm like, how am I being made aware of this frequency? When I'm angry, I attract angry fucking people back at me, right? When I'm rude, I attract rudeness right back. There's the first clue. Like attracts like. You don't like that person's energy, you are that person's energy. Get it in check if you don't like it, right? If you like it and you're like, fuck yeah, I love being the villain, then go off, live your Jafar life and no one's going to bother you. But if you are like, this isn't for me, I'd rather not be the villain in this story, I'm like over it, I'm not Ursula, then change, you know, figure out what it takes to get out of the frequency. Like I said, there's a million things that change vibrational frequency. You can call up one of the high vibrational people you have access to and tether into their vibration. That's the fastest way up. It's literally riding someone's coattails, right? Say, okay, yo, this was fun. I like the vibration of fun. I'm going to anchor into the vibration of fun. In 2 or 3 days, you're not going to be the frequency of misery anymore because you've anchored into a different one, right? It may require that you eat differently, sleep differently, speak differently, run in different circles, have different habits, different hobbies, different thoughts. But that's all that it takes to change vibration is to noticing what things vibrate at the frequency of where I'm trying to go, right? So consciousness of where I'm at and consciousness of where I think I'd like to go, along with openness to the universe to say, this is what I think. But if you want to put something else in my hand that's a little bit better, then I'm co-creating with you. So let's do it, right? The openness to change, the desire to change, the willingness to receive what is for you, and the commitment to moving. We don't even know if it's forward or up or down. I just say up because high vibrational states are faster moving. So they're higher up on the scale, right? And low vibrational states are lower moving. It doesn't mean I know we're programmed to think this is better than this, but you know, not always. It really depends. There's no better. The scale is, twisting in space. So sometimes being in a low vibrational frequency is not only beneficial to you, but to everybody around you. They need to learn something from your anger, or they need to learn something from your grief. And you can't access that if I'm only over up here, right? Like, so I don't think it's any different. It's the same thing when I'm in a high vibrational frequency that I have to do. The one difference I would say is I think in low vibrational states, my personal opinion, now this is not law, my personal opinion is that humans were not meant to vibrate in that state. I think that state is very dense. And I think that over time, people suffer. And I think when we see illness develop in people's physical bodies, it is the the runoff of holding dense vibrational states that are unnatural to the body. The body is a self-healing mechanism. It wants to heal. It is always looking to heal itself, right? When we offer dense vibrational interactions to the body, we deplete its ability to heal itself. And that's where things like a depressive mindset can cause, a lag in healing from other types of illnesses, right? So it's my understanding that people aren't really meant to remain. Low vibrational states for me are a pass through. Have a moment, have a long moment, have a month or two, and then start moving. Get out of this area, learn what you need to learn, and then get out. And so I think the difference is in high vibrational states, you often feel really good most of the time. So movement is harder because you love everything and you feel pretty good all the time. So it's like you're often leaving behind things that you really like, but you're just committed to growth and change and being led by universe. And so you're often giving up things that are really good. I've seen that meme of a little girl has like a small little toy behind her back and she's speaking to Jesus and he's asking her to like give up the toy. And she's like, but I love it. And I don't want to give it up. And he's holding like a huge thing for her. Right. So it's like that understanding of like, we're often giving up something that we're like, we love this thing though, I don't want to give it up. I love this experience. I love what this is, but it's not where you're being led. And we have to trust where we're being led. And, so I think it's actually, for me, movement is much harder now that I feel good. It was easier for me to move out of low vibrational states because I had a lot of guilt and shame, and I had the deep consciousness that this isn't me. This isn't all I'm capable of. This is not me at my most powerful. This is not me impacting the world in a place that's positive. This is not me creating positive upshifts or impacting and serving, right? This is me kind of like just draining myself and draining everyone. So it was scarier maybe to move out of those states, but it was easier to acknowledge when it was time to move out of those states because they did feel so fucking heavy and horrible. And, so I think they were a little easier to notice, but it doesn't really matter which one you are in the interaction because both of you are important, right? Every time I come up against someone who is in a low vibrational state and is attempting to either drag me or tether me to their state, I get the opportunity to check in with myself and decide, did I allow this for any period of time? And if so, why did I do that? And like, what was it for me that allowed this, right? It's not, like I said, if you look through your life, that you're not the victim, you are the creator. So if that happens, it's because I played some role in it. So why did I do that? Why did I make that choice? It's happening so I can understand myself better and make different decisions moving forward, or make more conscious decisions moving forward. So of course it happens. I've been the low vibrational being in a lot of interactions. I just ask why, focus on what happened, decide if I want to change, decide where I might like to change to, and then just start shifting, Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Jenna said, is it normal to have a low vibration often, or should we have one like every few years? Is it important that we have it so that we learn and understand when it's not and what we want or need? Yeah. I mean, it's normal to have low vibrational frequencies. Like I said, life is a lot like a wave. So you're going to have crests and you're going to have valleys and you're going to have peaks and you're going to have, and yeah, like she's saying kind of also, it's like, once you're at a certain vibrational frequency, the lows aren't like what the lows used to be. We don't really go off the grid that often. It's very rare. Massive trigger points in our story moving forward will drag us to that low point, but it does become more rare. It becomes more like fluctuations where you notice, I'm not really on my bullshit right now. It's not like a disaster, but I'm not really on my bullshit, right? I'm not like in my spiritual bag. But is that normal? Yes, I think it's normal. On what frequency should it happen? I think depends on the frequency that you're vibrating at. Like I said, once you become a higher vibrational being, you attract higher vibrational experiences. What higher vibrational means is faster. Right? Again, when we speak of high vibration, we're not talking about height. We're talking about speed. So speed is how fast are these shit vibrating, right? That's what makes something high vibrational. So that means when you move on a high vibrational frequency, you move faster, which is why people are like, well, what continent are you on? You're moving so fast. We don't know what's happening. It's because my portal and my timeline is accelerated. It's why I can have a relationship with somebody for 2 days and they're my best friend. because we're moving on a different fucking frequency up here. It doesn't take me a year to get to know you. It takes me about 5 minutes. We're either going to vibe or we aren't. That's pretty much it. Yeah. It's pretty simple. And then we're going to rock with each other. We're going to love each other. And then when we vibrate out of alignment, you got to go and we'll come back and we'll do this. And it's everything's free, everything's detached, and everything's vibrational. Right. So how often does it happen and how long does it last has a lot to do with the vibrational reality that you're maintaining on a steadier level. Right. So if this is your vibrational reality and your peaks and valleys are pretty well within this vibrational reality, and this is the speed of that vibrational reality, and this is about how long it takes to be on a high versus a low versus a high versus a low. If this is your shit, then you're like, oh, feel good, feel a little weird, I'm better. Okay, moving on. Right. Had a weird half hour. About how long it takes me to process it right now, right? Sometimes it's a weird 30 seconds where I'm like, bitch, get it back in your bag. Like, we're done with this. We don't have time. Like, it depends. It depends on the vibrational frequency that we're anchoring. And I do think that we anchor different vibrational frequencies at different times of the year, at different times in our lives. In some cases, moving fast as fuck will not be valuable. It's too much. But I can also access that floor if I feel like it. Right? If I need to move fast, then I can open that first fast moving portal and move at a timeline that other people are like, you did more in one day than I did last year altogether, the whole year. Like, that's because you're on this floor where thing goes like this. It's a lot of the time where you'll hear me arguing with the people around me being like, you're too slow. It's not the fact that their slowness is necessarily a problem in its physical, but the slowness is a response to the vibration that they're at. You're not on this floor, bro. You're on another fucking slow ass moving floor. Over time, this is going to cause this, right? Because right now we're on fast shit. We got to go fast. We got to get on the same thing. And it's funny that I was a dance teacher before I was a spiritual leader, because ultimately being a dance teacher is teaching people to resonate with you, get in sync with my timing, right? That is what dance is. And that is what I teach now. Get in sync with my timing. Synchronize yourself with my timing. Understand if I'm counting like this, and then get in sync with it. Or if I'm counting like this, get in sync with it. Or be left behind. Sorry. Take your own time, figure out the eights, and come back when you're ready to dance with me. Right. And like I said, there's a lot of give and take there. Right? You also don't want to be so married to your own personal vibration that you never consider that somebody else's vibration is of service to you, and that you never are willing to slow to someone's speed or to speed up to someone's speed. There has to be some flexibility. That's how you know you are not in the ego. You're not just deciding mine's the only good vibration and all of you idiots better vibrate with me, right? You're deciding this vibration feels really good to me. And that's all I know. And if this feels really good to me and I'm moving with it, then I'm going to attract other people who feel really good here. And that's going to help us all move forward together and have an openness to what is coming up next and what alignment feels really good to us now, because we're in sync. So it will feel good to us. You know what I mean? And that's it. Like, that's really what commitment is. That's what moving with a tribe or with a partner or with a group entails. And I think also, this is why a lot of family structures suffer, because the parents and the children find different vibrational states of reality, and they spend their lives in a household that is discordant and not resonant, right? And this lack of synchronicity with the family unit, with everyone. That's why people say it's important to sit at the family table. Important for more reasons than one. At the same time, at the same space, you consume the same meal. This causes this vibrational synchronicity and resonance to fall down over the family. That's why we did it. That's why we prayed with our family and went to church on Sunday. Not because the prayer necessarily in and of itself or the specific church was the issue, but because we went to the same place at the same time and we heard the same sounds and the same music and we resonated, right? But it doesn't work if you drag your kid to church. It doesn't work because they're not receiving that experience the same way. Right? There is something about the willingness and the openness to vibrate together and the choice to do it that is necessary. People cannot be dragged because they've come to resent it. Even if you're dragging them to something higher than them or something better than the feeling that they have, they still don't want to be dragged, right? Because to drag someone is to judge them, and ultimately activates your ego. It makes you decide, you don't know what you're doing and I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to pull you towards me so you can feel better. Isn't that better? And then the other person's like, no, you fucking patronizing ass. Like, it's not better. Now I feel like shit. And I hate this thing that you're making me do. Right. So it's really kind of just understanding that experience as well, that like, if we open ourselves and we decide this has to be some type of collaboration, right? And if you look at every way that it doesn't work that way, right? You have one parent that works in an office 10 hours a day, you know, and then doesn't make an effort to come home and play with their children and get down to their vibration, they lose their children. They lose that frequency with their kids, right? And the kids love the nanny because the nanny wants to play, and play is the vibration of childhood. So it's weird to me that people have children and don't want to meet them at their vibrational frequency and don't want to help them understand what vibration is. And, you know, that's where things start going fucking apeshit. You know, it's a vibrational issue. It's not the what you're doing, but it's the, you know, where is the vibration of this and how is it keeping us together or apart? Does this go with 3D, 4D, and 5D? Like if you're in a five-dimensional state, you won't align with someone in a 3D state of being. Well, this is interesting because remember that alignment also can be a very brief thing. So it's actually also, like I said, opposites do attract, right? We know this because we meet teachers and we meet mentors and we meet holy people who are vibrating at frequencies that we are not vibrating at. But we do find these little mini portals towards people like that, up and down, that help us to interact across vibrational layers. Mostly what I'm saying is not that we can't find points of alignment with anyone anywhere. We do. And that does become a portal that serves us both, right? As you're brought down to a level, you see a perspective that while you don't have to maintain it, you can access it momentarily and then return to the timeline you were on with that information, right? If I interact with someone who's currently homeless, that helps me to really get into the vibrational reality of what that person's suffering looks like and what that point of attraction looks like, and to feel it viscerally so that I don't have to live it every day, but I don't also live numb to it or blind to it, right? It allows me to continue to open myself to states of being, potentially to be of service to that person, but also to learn from that person. That's the exchange, right? So you definitely can have points of alignment. To me, the difference is the length of the alignment. I don't think you could necessarily drag a long-term or consistent situation with someone who was in a different state of being than you, which is what happens when people say, I go visit my parents, but I can only go there for a day at a time. Yeah, y'all can align for a minute, but then eventually the cord is going to start ripping you back to your own timeline. And that's, you know, that's what it is. So just to remember, like, yeah, of course we come into alignment with all types of people every day. And it's because we are opening up little micro rips in the system to speak to the cashier, to speak to this or that. And depending on how powerful you are in your vibration, you may find that you pull people up to meet you. You may find the person that didn't smile at anyone smiled at you that day because you were smiling at them. And that smile was genuine and it brought them to a vibration of joy for even a brief moment. They came up. And sometimes you'll see someone that's just so sad or feeling so heavy that you'll really just empathize with them in a way that takes you down. But like I said, you don't have to worry about it because that's universe taking care of things for you. You know, remember what I always tell you is like, how we are living and what we need is not the doing. We are not looking for these things. We are not seeking. When we are in seek, we are in go get, which is not receptivity. Receptivity is show me what it is, you know. Take me where I need to go. I'm receiving what you are giving to me, right? And it's kind of understanding that life is doing this for you. It's taking you down when you need a brief momentary down, and it's going to shift you right back up if that's for you. And then it'll shift someone up to you if that's for them, right? Universe is handling this. You know, it's handling the timing. It's handling the alignment. We become problematic when we go like this. No, I'm holding on to this one. And they say, let go. Let go of it. Stop holding on to it. It's not for you to hold on to. It's for you to pass through. And when you grip anything, you close your hands to the receptivity of universe guiding you towards not only what is for you, but what is for you when it is for you, right? It's not just about who it is or what it is or where it is. It's about when it is. And that divine timing cannot be sacrificed and it cannot be faked. Yeah. You can go and have an experience with someone and be like, oh, we really got along. And the next time you see them, you're like, we tried to make a plan to get together and it was weird. Now that fun we had is kind of missing. Why'd you make a plan? Who asked you to go out and rearrange things? Just go out. Just go be out. Don't drag things and people and desires and that was fun in the past. Let's try to drag that fun from the past over to this new point. For what? There's fun here. Like, why are we doing these things? Fear of loss, fear of change, and the ego convinces us we're a savior. We've got to take care of everyone. We've got to bring everyone exactly where we are because we're good and we're the only one that can hold this together. If I tell you how many good people tell me I have to be the one that does it because no one else will, I say, that's your ego, bitch. That's your ego deciding that you are the one to save, to take care of, to heal, to do the work. No, the fuck you are not. Like, that's your ego. You shouldn't even be thinking about that, sitting on your high horse of the savior. That's the worst fucking place to be. It's painful up there. It's tiring up there, and it's not helping anyone. You'll find when you sit on that soapbox, the people that you help are never really helped. They're always still in the same fucking situation they were in before as soon as you leave. And you're like, I helped you for 3 years. You're exactly the same. Yeah, because you didn't really help them. You just reflected your ego at them. And now they're just more egotistical than they were. Good for us, And again, it happens. I've done that. I've done it. I've done it many times. And it's sometime in hindsight that I'm like, oops, But it's helpful to have things and people and places that can be like, yo, you sound like an egotistical asshole. It's valuable. We put that stuff away. We don't like it. But that's what people pay me for when they pay me for mentorship. They pay me to tell them, you're the problem here. And they tell me go fuck myself. And then they come back and say, how? How am I the problem? Tell me again. And then they go fix it and their life changes. I hate it too. I hate when someone tells me it's my fault. What do you mean? Who are you talking to? My fault? I don't have fault. I'm great. You know what I mean? And it's just like consistently being the one that's like, okay, I contributed and I fucked that up. We moving on. Let's change the resonance. Let's change the point of attraction. Let's notice that ego is a tricky bitch. I really thought I was out here being like, I'm the one that has to save the world. Look at me. We don't need that. Let me just see any last questions here. I'm in the chat here if anybody has anything. Yeah, Danny hated that concept that everything was her fault. It's not even that it's our fault. It's just that everything is our doing. Everything is our creation, and everything that we are seeing is just showing us what we are in this moment. And it's okay if sometimes what we're seeing is something that we don't like. That's a gift too. That's allowing us to make a different choice, to become a different point of attraction and quickly attract new things. Like when I tell you, sometimes people are like, I don't want to do that. How long is that going to take? And I'm like, yo, once you do it, sometimes it takes a little while to figure out exactly what floor you want to get out on. But once you get out, like the attraction and the movement is instantaneous. Like it's fast. So it's really worth the effort. Does anybody have any last questions for me before we wrap up today? It was good to see you guys today. Thank you all for being here. It was so nice to have such a large chat. I hope that this resonated with you somehow. And if you have any questions, as always, you can drop them in the inbox and I'll answer them for you. And I will be back. Do we have another Zoom this month? I think we have one. What day is it? 22nd. I don't know. I don't think we have another Zoom this month. I think our next one will be in May. So I love you guys. See you soon. Bye.